So we're a few days out from the Necropolis League, and there are a lot of things still to learn. Obviously, there's the Scarabs to be revealed, but we've just had a few of them shown on Zizaran stream. He did an interview with Mark on his stream where they revealed a boatload of Scarabs, and a lot of them caught my eye. So first of all, to kick us off, we're going to talk about the experience meta. Currently, the meta is to just sit in a 5-way and kind of tab out. Right, wait for your character to be leveled by someone else. But there may be a way this league to get a ton more experience, and we're going to come into the Atlas passive tree to talk about how that is. You can get an absurd level of increased effect of your modifiers on your map by taking all the notables I've shown you and rolling a 20% quality 8 modifier map. You can get northward of 90% increased modifier effect. Combine this with a keystone that's definitely going under the radar, and maybe for good reason, Back to Basics, which causes your maps to be unable to spawn extra content. You cannot have influence, but what you do get is up to 80% more modifier effect, and this will of course scale all the effects you already have. So we take our 190 times it by 1.8, and we of course end up with about 342% effect. This is going to apply to our pack size, our quant, our rarity, but the thing we care about in terms of XP is pack size. Now, why am I bringing all this up? Like, great, you can get pack size. Is that really better than adding mobs to your map with Legion, Expedition, Abyss? Yeah, because Back to Basics, either erroneously or purposely, does not mention the Necropolis League. You can apply Necropolis content to it, and therefore you can probably apply All Flames. The important one for this is of course Untainted All Flames. If you know about Untainted mobs, they're the ones present in the Untainted Paradise map. They grant you a ton of XP, they don't drop loot. And they were also a tile in the Calandra League. This was the league where we saw Havoc and his team reach level 100 in an hour and 2 minutes. So we could see something similar to that this league, because I imagine this will be even better in some regards. And the reason for that, on top of all this, I already thought this was going to be good, but then I saw 2 of the new Scarabs in today's stream, and it kind of got a bit crazy. First of all, we're getting the ability to convert all the mobs in your map to at least magic. Already, magic monsters give a ton more XP than normal monsters, so that's a great buff to this kind of strategy if you're looking for XP. But next, we have Scarab of Monstrous Lineage, which gives us 40% increased pack size, which is most likely a separate multiplier to all that we're getting from our map itself. So a separate 1.4 on our already massive pack size from the 3.5 times more that we're getting from the increased effect. You're going to be able to get insane pack size. Every mob in your map is going to be an untainted mob. This could realistically be the most XP you could ever get in one map. So very, very cool. Very interesting. Something I'll be trying out on my, second character when I'm leveling it up. I'll at least give it a go, right? What is there to lose? Maybe they nerf the untainted mobs for this purpose, but let's hope not. Next, we're going to talk about Essence. If you look at the tree and the changes they made, it got nerfed. But the Essence compasses we got were pretty massive. Essence Scarab limit 4, meaning you can use 4 of it, so you can get 8 Essences in your map. Great. That's a nice start, but it doesn't end there. We've got the Essence Scarab of Ascent, which causes essences found in the area to be a tier higher. Now we're starting to talk about the loot, about the scaling. But then the big one, the crazy one, Essence Scarab of Calcification. All rare monsters in area are imprisoned by essences. So this realistically is going to be about 10 additional essences in your map. So already, if you were just using this, the previous Scarab I mentioned of Ascent, and 2 of the basic Essence Scarab, you're going to be getting 14 essences in your map, and they're going to drop higher tier essences. Now, where it gets crazy is when we look at the Scarab of Adversaries. This is a limit 2 Scarab that adds 8 rare mobs to your map. And this is, of course, based to the map. This will get essenced. So throw away the Essence Scarab that adds 2, because Scarab of Adversaries is here now, and it gives us 8. And you can use 2 of it, equaling 16 essences. Add on the 10 that you get from calcification, add on the higher tier essences and any you can get from the map device, and suddenly we have almost 30 essences in our map. And these of course are going to be pretty rare. This is very end game. This is going to be something you work towards maybe in the later weeks of the league, but it adds a very end game farm for essence where you're going to be farming absolutely tons of them, which I think is really cool. But it isn't the only thing that got a benefit in terms of rare mobs. Breach is another one. There are some decent breach ones. You get a Breach Lord, you can make it Patchouli, you can get more splinters. Yeah. This is the good one. Breach Scarab of Snares. Breaches in your area have 5 to 10 additional clasped hands. Clasped hands in area are guarded by a rare breach monster. Now, if you think of how many breaches you would normally get in your map, if you use the map device, maybe a Scarab, talking 4, 5, then we have the Atlas passive tree that can add some more. We're going to be getting up to, you can potentially get up to like 15 breaches, and each of them is going to have 5 to 10 additional clasped hands. Each of them is going to have a rare monster. So we're talking, in some cases, 100 rare mobs, which is great when you look at the amplified artifacts Atlas passive, because it says that rare monsters in your maps have 50% increased chance to drop Scarabs per monster modifier affecting them. Not only are you going to be spawning a ton of rare monsters that you could potentially get good conversions on, you could just get good loot from them in general, but you're also going to be adding all these Scarab drops to them. So 100 rares, tons of Scarabs, all the benefits of just killing rare mobs in general. Big. I like it. Breach could be really cool. But we'll move away from rare mobs and we'll move to unique mobs. Unique mobs is something that a lot of people have been looking at. Of course, there is the significant troves Atlas passive that says unique monsters in your maps have 200% increased chance to drop Scarabs. This are very comparable to the amplified artifacts. You're going to get more rare mobs, but you get less chance to drop Scarab. Unique mobs, you get a flat 200%. And there are some decent ways to add uniques to your map. Rogue Exiles being the obvious one, right? You got 8% chance for 20 additional Rogue Exiles. Also, they can be Tormented, increasing their quant and rarity by a ton. And then there's going to be Anarchy Scarabs for even more Rogue Exiles. You're going to get a lot of Scarabs from something like this. So it's going to be pretty huge. Obviously, June got changed. A lot of people looking at doing June. Tons of unique mobs from June. There are some very good layouts that also have a ton of unique mobs in them. Things like Glacier. There are about 8 unique goats when you fight the boss, and they do drop items, so I assume that they're going to work with this. Maybe they thought about this in advance, in which case it probably won't. But let's assume they didn't, because sometimes these things get by, and it's fun to think about. So 8 additional uniques there, June, Rogue Exiles, and now Beyond. Beyond Scarab of the Invasion. Unique monsters slain in area create 8 to 12 additional Beyond portals. So now you can add another layer to this unique mob farming strat. You can also get a ton of breach mobs coming out of them, getting that tainted currency. Very, very cool. I'm not sold on the unique farming thing, but I think it could definitely be a cool archetype. And again, you know I'm going to be trying out. Of course I am. We got Harbinger. They got a pretty decent amount of love. You have the ability to cause Harbingers in area to drop rarer currency shards, but they only drop a single type. And, you know, imagine the scenes when it eventually hits that fracturing shard or mirror shard. And on top of that, we just have a flat 2x multiplier to Harbinger loot. Currency shards dropped by Harbingers in area are duplicated. Now, of course, there are a ton more, and I could sit here and go over every single one of them, but we'll leave it with this Legion Scarab of Eternal Conflict. Legion monsters in area can be broken out of stasis multiple times. And each time you do that, they gain the additional reward tile. That's what Mark said in the interview. So if you have a build that just one-shots Legion, and you can pop it over again, then the amount of rewards you're going to tie to these mobs is going to be absurd. So very interesting. It does mean that you have to do the full duration of the Legion. So you would want to spec into things like protracted battle so that the Legion encounter lasts 40% longer. So you can keep breaking them out over and over and over again. This one for me made me really excited because it would have been easy for them to just like repackage the old compasses or repackage the old Scarabs and be like, yeah, here you go. But this one is completely different. It changes the way you farm Legion, and it's really interesting. So kudos to GGG, and I believe Octavian made a lot of these, so thumbs up to Octavian. Amazing job, at least on the ones we've seen so far. Thank you to Zizaran and Mark for the interview. It was a great watch, learned a lot. Enjoyed my time. Looking forward to seeing all the Scarabs and starting Necropolis League. I will, of course, be doing 7 days 7 farms. If I wasn't going to do it this league, when would I ever do it? The Atlas passive tree and all the farming strats are completely up in the air. So you know I'll be out in the field trying to figure it out for you guys. Get subscribed if you want to see that. If not, I hope you enjoyed this video at the very least. And I'll see you all next time.